Hello, my name is Christy, and I'm here to discuss drunk driving with you tonight. Each and every year, many car accidents are caused that could be avoided. Whether it be individually or together as a group, we could stop these travesties from happening. Making sure everyone makes it home safe and that we feel comfortable on the road should be our number one priority. If you choose to ignore what is around you, then you are contributing to the problem. I have seen lives destroyed by people and family who will cause these accidents, and from the innocent ones that are killed and their families left behind. My brother-in-law was a Montana Highway Patrol officer. This is a picture of him. His name was Michael, who one night called my sister and told her that he was going to do one last pass and then he would be home. He never made it home, as a young man named Travis Vandersloot, who had left the bar driving on the wrong side of the road with no lights on, and they collided head on. Travis was speeding and he was killed instantly, while my brother-in-law Michael lived in a coma for 4 more days before passing. One decision had so much impact on so many lives. I want these senseless accidents to stop and people to help when they see someone who may be too inebriated to drive. Stop them and take their keys. Drinking and driving are two very dangerous events that should never mix, but unfortunately they do. Begin quote. Alcohol-involved motor vehicle crashes remain a significant cause of injury and deaths in the United States, accounting for 30% of crash fatalities, or approximately 11,000 deaths per year. End quote. Page 865, Kaufman, E.J. First, let's look at why people choose to drink and drive, and why others sit on the sidelines and watch this happen. It is truly amazing that people have the knowledge of what can happen, and yet they still continue to drink and drive. Sometimes people are just too inebriated and do not understand that they are not in their right mind and that they should not drive, while others tend to think that nothing will happen to them because they are invincible. Then some people are too afraid to speak up and stop people from drinking and driving. They may feel that this is not their place, and others may perceive them as a wet blanket. Elle Finbo, from the book Immoral, Deviant, or Just Abnormal, Drunk Drivers' Narratives of Drinking and Driving in 2014, began quote, Albert, subject number 59, began the interview by stating that he had been drinking like a fish for 25 years. Per, subject 44, said that for more than 10 years, he could have been arrested for drinking and driving around the clock. John, subject 28, said that his drinking had been rampant. He could easily drink more than 30 beers at a time, had experienced hundreds of blackouts when he was drinking, and often had felt morally hungover after drinking, especially after drunk driving. Page 241. I am asking you to always check to see if someone who has been drinking, if they are okay to drive, and just go with your gut on what you think needs to be done. We, as people, need to remember that the safety should be everyone's responsibility. Secondly, there are statistics, news reports, and even posts on Facebook that report different drunk driving issues that we all face on a daily basis. We have all these media outlets reporting drunk driving, and yet people continue to engage in this behavior. What will it finally make people wake up and realize the risk that they are putting themselves and others in jeopardy of? My sister Tawny is a very big advocate against drunk driving. She's continuing the legacy of her late husband, Michael. My brother-in-law, Michael Haynes, was a Montana Highway Patrol officer, and he was killed in March of 2009 by a drunk driver. Coincidentally, Michael held the most records for drunk driving arrests in 2009, as this was the focus of his career. He just wanted a safer world for all of our children, and especially for his own children. People failed to stop Travis Vandersloot from getting in the car that fateful night in March of 2009. Not only was Travis to blame for this choice, but so were his friends that he was smoking marijuana and consuming alcohol with. I will now show you a picture of what his car looked like after the wreckage. As you can see, his front seat was thrown forward and his pedals were actually stuck into him. That establishment that did have to pay a hefty fine, and then they lost their license to serve alcoholic beverages as well. As K.L. Hanna in the Old Laws, New Tricks, Drunk Driving and Autonomous Vehicles in 2005 said, quote, despite attempts to educate drivers on the dangers of drunk driving and deter such behavior through criminal punishment, there are still thousands of deaths attributable to drunk driving every year and billions of dollars spent on the damage from auto accidents, loss of lives, injury, deterrence, and punishment, end quote. Page 275. Thirdly, all of our actions have reactions and consequences. When you choose to drink and drive, you are running the risk of having a car accident that could take your life or someone else's, or both. Unfortunately, when people die, it doesn't just affect them, it affects all the people around them. I have seen and felt this firsthand, and it is incredibly a difficult thing to deal with and something incredibly difficult to process. This is especially hard when someone is taken so soon. You are left with unanswered questions and all these feelings. Your decisions and choices can have consequences that are life-altering and can last lifelong. Now let us look at some of the consequences if you choose to drive while you drink. You may end up in jail, lose your driver's license, lose your job, have to live with the guilt of hurting someone, or even worse, killing someone. Human error is a big issue that we all face time and time again. We need to think about the future and not just live in the moment. Here is a picture of Michael and the 2 young children that he has left behind. In conclusion, there is so much that we can learn from people who have already driven drunk and their accidents that they have been in. Vast majority of these people probably thought that they were invincible, but unfortunately they were not. We need to remember to look out for others, as they may not be able to do it for themselves, and in doing so, we will also be looking out for ourselves. We need to pay attention to what is in front of our faces and look at the scary articles of people being injured and not just ignore them, all the while thinking this will not happen to me. The world can be a big, scary place, but it does not have to be if we simply start thinking ahead, as all of our actions have reactions and our choices have consequences. There are so many options out there and to be able to get home safely. There is Uber, taxis, friends, family, and even ask the bar if they can provide a way home for you. Also, establishments need to be more responsible and stop serving after a few drinks. I know you can go somewhere else and get more alcohol, but bartenders need to be paying attention to their patrons. No matter how busy we all get, we need to look out for the best interest of others. Drinking and driving does have major consequences, and just because you made it home that one time does not guarantee you will make it home the next time. My citations are Finbo L. in 2014, Immoral, Deviant, or Just Normal Drunk Drivers' Narratives of Drinking and Driving. Hanna K.L. 2015, Old Laws, New Tricks, Drunk Driving and Autonomous Vehicles. And Cruz EP 2013, Undue Influence, the Sobriety of Presumption of Regularity Doctrine in the Determination of the Under the Influence of Alcohol Requirement and in the Anti-Drug and Drug Driving Act of 2013. Thank you.